So, how would you deal with a life-altering illness or disability, and would you be public about it? So, this video is going to be a little different because I'm filming this um, probably within 48 hours since Chadwick Boseman's passing. And even though I still have weekly content that I'm working on, the reason that I wanted to kind of have this video out there and wanted to put this together, a reaction video, I guess, is not because he's a star, but given the focus on this channel and given the fact that I created this channel after, slowly starting to get comfortable with speaking about my own stroke, I guess his passing hit me not just because of him being famous, but because he was battling a colon cancer for the last 4 years that no one knew about. And then it got me to thinking about when I was in the midst of my recovery journey and the fact that I didn't tell many people for years. And, I've started to have discussions and I've started to read social and news, and people have been talking about how surprising it is because no one knew that he was kind of dealing with this. And even though I get the shock, because again, no one knew that this was happening, I also realized that I can kind of understand why he didn't do kind of what a lot of celebs do, a lot of public people do, that they just start getting really public about their illness and what they're going through. But I also got why he felt the need to keep it personal. And so I boiled down a couple of things that just kind of personally struck me. And this isn't to compare myself, but it was only to kind of understand. The reason I'm acknowledging this is because I think that there is something to understanding why he chose not to go public with what he was privately battling. And so I came up with with 3 points that I thought were kind of worth kind of underscoring. Point 1 is that strength comes in a lot of forms. The reality is that you can be strong being very public and showing the world that you're being strong, but as an actor that was idolized by millions of people and kids that looked up to what he was representing, it was kind of really almost especially noble to kind of understand that he was living this dream, but he also appreciated not making it about him. And that you can probably view that a couple different ways, but the reality is that strength comes in different forms. And so if someone chooses to kind of walk a path as they demonstrate the strength within their family and their private networks, they're entitled to do that. And for the public that adored him, it wasn't necessarily, you could say, wow, wish we knew, but we also have to respect that he was human. And so that was the way he chose to carry his own strength. The second point I'll say is, privacy is a personal choice. So if he felt like he needed to kind of walk that path and not have everyone all up in his business, he was entitled to do that, especially because he had to kind of make sense and reconcile. And the reality is that there's probably a fear, especially as you're realizing what you're going through. And so that's just reality. And so yes, he was a superhero, but he was also human, and I mean, he played a superhero, but he was human first. And so he deserved to kind of have stuff that didn't necessarily live in the limelight of the universe and have people kind of second guessing and wondering or not he was wondering whether he was going to be strong enough to kind of get through things, and we didn't need to kind of be in every part of his journey. The third point that really hit home to me, and I jotted this one down because I thought it was especially important to spotlight, is that sometimes people don't need to live a lifetime in order to leave a lasting impact. And I would say that that's especially applicable for Chadwick. He was in his early 40s and has already played some of the most iconic roles in film, fictional and real, of portrayals of real individuals, and has created like iconic figures that people now look to as gold standards. And I think that there's something to be said about that. Maybe that was the gift that he was supposed to leave us. And it was to give us amazing portrayals. It was to inspire a generation of youth and children. It was to redefine superhero portrayals. It was to reawaken the way that we view the Jackie Robinson story. It was the way to awaken the way that we appreciate James Brown, and all the roles that he's played have been very, very iconic and very, very memorable. And he has left us that legacy. That legacy that he has given us of those portrayals are ones that we now have and can reference as quality portrayals. It's unfortunate that he didn't have the ability to kind of live and play and continue to play even more strong, iconic roles, but he's already given us a gift for what he's been able to portray. And that is pretty much really, really iconic. There are people that can live entire generations and not get to leave the impact that he's left us. So the truth of the matter is, I, like millions of people, am completely devastated by the news and the loss. But, I'm going to respect, the fact that I'm finding out the way the world did, and understand why he may have needed to walk that path privately. And I'm just going to celebrate the impact that he's left in pop culture and in Black culture. And that, if nothing else, deserves to be appreciated and celebrated, and realize that people are walking a lot of paths and journeys that we may not ever really understand, and are entitled to kind of have that personal journey for themselves. So thank you, Chadwick, for everything that you've left, for the mark that you left in pop culture, and the memories and the portrayals that you've left us to appreciate for years and years to come. And Wakanda forever, man.